Hi there guys, welcome to another episode of the Cover Zero Show with me, your host, Simon Conboy. Continuing on with my franchise and draft review series for the last decade, this episode will be focusing on the Denver Broncos. So for those of you who haven't seen this series before, what I'm doing is I'm breaking down the last 10 years worth of overall records, including any coaching changes, playoff appearances in that analysis, and then breaking down the last 10 drafts, so I'll be grading most of those picks. Once I get to that part of the show, I'll explain that system in a little bit more detail. Again, apologies to you if you've seen one of these before. I'll make it as quick as I can. So, the Broncos, they, in terms of coaching, had long-term coach Mike Shanahan up until 2008. He was then replaced with Josh McDaniels. Oh, I remember that era, for 2009-2010. Then John Fox for 2011 through 2014. And then Gary Kubiak for the past 2 seasons. Over that time frame, they've amassed 94 wins and 66 losses. A very good record in general. 5 playoff appearances, all from division wins. And they were all in a row, consecutive. And 1 Super Bowl loss, 1 Super Bowl win in that time, of course. And both of those coming under the watch of Peyton Manning. So, yeah, clearly, this team was mired in mediocrity. Josh McDaniels kind of blew it up a little bit. John Fox got it back to stability. And Kubiak got them over the hump. It's, I think, would be the quickest commentary for how the last decade's gone in Denver. Obviously, rock solid defense. It'd be interesting to see how the offense develops. That O-line still looks like a mess to me. So, on to the drafts. So, what I'm doing here, got first 3 rounds. I'm grading every selection. If I believe that was a solid pick, the team would have been happy to make, even with hindsight, or was just good value at that spot, it'll be graded solid, add +1 to the team's overall score. If they were fine, unimpressive, but still acceptable, it won't affect the score. If they were a bust, it'll be -1. Of course, first 3 rounds is where you're expecting starters and contributors, being a little more strict with first rounders. From rounds 4 through 7, I will be highlighting any players that have gone on to have success. Most of those players don't ever really play in the league at all, so I'll highlight any that do. They'll be deemed value selections and add +1 to the team's overall score. Friday, during my weekly review, we'll be using all the statistics from all these episodes. I really recommend checking out. We'll really build on this information. Hopefully be a really informative and entertaining episode for you guys. So, onto the drafts. 2007, first round, 17th overall selection, defensive end, Jarvis Moss. He was a bust. Also, second rounder, Tim Crowder, another defensive end. He was also a bust. And in the third, Ryan Harris, the long-time offensive tackle. Solid selection, definitely for a third. That goes down as a solid. Moving on to 2008. 12th overall selection, offensive tackle, Ryan Clady. Yeah, injuries sort of sidetracked his career, but early on in particular, he was a very, very good pass-protecting left tackle. He goes down as a solid. In the second, Eddie Royal, the wide receiver, had a reasonable career, particularly when Jay Cutler was there. Just about edged that one into a solid. In the fourth, Corey Lichtensteiger, the offensive lineman. That's a pretty good value pick. He's not bad. Wouldn't qualify if he was in the third or second, but for a fourth, I think that's fine. And in the seventh, Peyton Hillis, I'll put him just as value because even if they didn't get it, the Browns got that 1 season out of him. You'd take that from a seventh, to be honest. Moving on to 2009. Now, in the Friday episode, I'm going to do my 10 favourite, my 10 least favourite draft classes over this time frame. This one is a contender for my least favourites. So, first round, 12th overall pick, running back Noshawn Moreno. He was a bust. I was really disappointed. I thought he was great coming out of college. 18th overall selection, defensive end Robert Ayers. Gone on to have a solid career. He's a good defensive lineman. Never been a top tier pass rusher. Didn't really achieve too much in Denver, but he's had a solid enough career. I'm not going to say he was a bust, but he wasn't a solid pick at that juncture either. Probably edging towards bust maybe, but I won't grade that one. In the second, Alfonso Smith, defensive back. He was a bust. Darcel McBath, another defensive back. He was also a bust. And also in the second, Richard Quinn, the tight end. He was also a bust. In the fourth, David Bruton, defensive back. He'd been pretty good value. No, not a bad depth player to have. So I'll give him a value there. Saving that grade just a little bit. Then 2010, this is much better. First round, well, outside of one, which we'll get to. First round, 22nd overall selection, wide receiver Demaryius Thomas. He's been a really good receiver for them. True number one. Yep, definite solid pick there. 25th overall pick, the polarizing quarterback Tim Tebow. I think we can all agree, even if you're one of these super fans out there, he was a bust in the NFL. In the second round, same Beatles, the offensive lineman. I don't think he's great, but for a second rounder, I think he's a pretty solid pick because he does give you versatility. Yeah, I'll go with solid there, just about. In the third, J.D. Walton, the centre. Actually, I'll go between Beatles and Walton. I don't think either one constitutes a solid on their own, but they're both okay. So between the two of them, they'll be a solid because my list, my rules. In the third, Eric Decker, the wide receiver, solid pick, really good value in the third. In the fifth, Parrish Cox, the defensive back. Now I know he has been picked on at times in his career, like last year in Tennessee, but to be honest, for a fifth rounder, he's a pretty good player. At worst, he's solid depth. So yeah, he will go down as a value pick, as much as Titans fans may hate me for it after last season. Moving on to 2011, we've got Von Miller, the second overall pick, the pass rusher. Yeah, that's a home run. They nailed that one. One of the best defenders in the league at the moment. In the second, Raheem Moore, the safety. He was a bust. In the second, also Orlando Franklin, the offensive lineman. I think he's gone on to have a reasonable career. Not going to grade that one as a bust or solid. Also in the third, we've got Nate Irving, the linebacker. He was a bust. And in the fourth, Julius Thomas, the tight end. Great value pick. Now playing his trade for the Dolphins. Moving on to 2012. No first rounder, but in the second, they picked up Derek Wolfe, the defensive lineman. Their best defensive lineman at the minute. Very good player. That is a solid pick. In the second, Brock Osweiler, the quarterback. Based on last year, I'm going to give this a bust just because, to me, yeah, that wasn't worth a second rounder. Looked better during his time in Denver, but yeah, last year was so bad. If it was a third, I'd have been okay with it because it pretty much through the compensatory pick system based on the contract he was given, they get pretty good value back. But for a second, they didn't. So yeah, I've got to put that as a bust. In the third, Ronnie Hillman. No grade attached there. And in the fifth and sixth, though, these are two really good picks. Malik Jackson, defensive lineman, and in the sixth, Danny Trevathan, linebacker. They both go down as value picks, even though neither one of them is with the team anymore. Right, moving on, 2013. Sylvester Williams, the 28th overall pick. I thought he was going to be a really good NFL player. He has not been to this point. He's been a bust. In the second, Monte Ball, the running back from Wisconsin, also a bust. He's not even in the league at this point. In the third, Kayvon Webster, the corner. Hard to really say. Doesn't really see much of the field. No grade attached there at the minute. Moving on to 2014. Just to bear in mind, last three, I'm sitting on the fence a lot more. Of course, there's a lot of players who you haven't seen enough of necessarily to make a judgment at this stage, particularly rookies, second-year players. So just bear in mind, if I do feel strongly about a player, however, I will give them a grade. So, first rounder, 31st overall pick, Bradley Roby, the corner. Yeah, he's been very effective in the nickel. I mean, it helps he's got the two guys outside of him that he does, but he's been a good player. So that's a solid pick there. In the second, Cody Latimer, wide receiver. No grade attached there. Pretty tough to get on the field with Sanders and Thomas, so hard to judge that. And in the third, Michael Schofield, an offensive lineman. He has been a bust. The 2015 draft, we've got Shane Ray with the 23rd overall selection, defensive end. I thought he played well enough last year that I'm willing to give this one a solid. Ty Sambrayo, the offensive lineman in the second. He's been fine. In the third, Jeff Howman, the tight end. No grade there. And in the seventh, I'm willing to give Trevor Siemian value. I thought he played well enough last year that you'd have to say that was a fantastic pick in the seventh. I thought he looked like a viable, not high end, but at least an adequate starting quarterback, especially considering the state of the run game and the offensive line in Denver. So that one gets a value pick. And last year's draft, we've got Paxton Lynch with the 26th overall pick. Don't know at this point. Similar with second rounder Adam Gotts as the defensive lineman and Justin Simmons the safety in the third. Hey guys, don't know what happened there. Joys of the webcam just dropped out. So getting back to the Broncos, in total there have been 10 solid picks and 8 value picks. So a great job picking up players in late rounds. If you're expecting to see Chris Harris, by the way, he was undrafted, which is shocking, I know, but these players do slip through the net. So yeah, 10 solid, 8 reasonable there, but a lot of busts as well. 13, that dropping the score to a +5. Pretty middling. Improved as of late. Some really bad drafts early on, which, you know, is why the team ends up needing a bit of a rebuild. I think John Elway's done a pretty good job overall, even if they are developing a lot of these players slowly. In the first round, 11 selections have been made overall. 5 of them have been solid, 4 of them have been busts, and there's 2 that I'm undecided on or have been mediocre. That's not a bad ratio. It's not particularly good. It sums up all around. It's been pretty middling other than the value, which is great. As I say, things have picked up as of late. We'll see if things continue to improve. I mean, this roster is one of those two-sided ones. Offensively, there's a lot of holes there. Defensively, it's rock solid. So what do you guys think? Have I been pretty fair with the Broncos? Anything you agree, disagree with? Feel free to get in touch. I'll do my best to get back in touch with everyone who does so. We've got the comments below on YouTube, Cover Zero Facebook page, or find me on Twitter. All of those will work. Been a pleasure. I've really enjoyed this series so far. Definitely recommend checking out tomorrow's one. As I say, I'll provide a lot more context for this series. Should be a very, very good episode. I'm really looking forward to that one. If you enjoyed this, check out some more of them. Like, share, subscribe, check out the Patreon. All that good stuff would be thoroughly appreciated. Thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure. Go Bucks.